I never thought I'd be one of those guys posting on Reddit about relationship drama, but here I am, typing out my story and trying to make sense of everything that's happened in the last few months. Sarah and I had been together for 5 years. We met in college, started dating junior year, and everything seemed perfect. She was a marketing manager, I'm a software engineer, and we had this vision of building a life together. Last Christmas, I proposed. It was a whole big thing. I planned a surprise trip to the mountains, got down on one knee during a snowy sunset, and she said yes with tears in her eyes. We started planning the wedding immediately. Venue tours, cake tastings, guest lists, the whole 9 yards. Her parents were thrilled, my family loved her, and we seemed like the perfect couple. We'd even started looking at houses in the suburbs, talking about starting a family in the next few years. Then everything changed about 3 months ago. It started subtly. Sarah became distant. She was spending more time on her phone, taking calls in another room, being vague about her plans. At first, I chalked it up to work stress. She was handling a huge marketing campaign for a tech startup, and I knew how demanding her job could be. But then came the conversation that shattered everything. One Saturday night, after we'd had a nice dinner and were cuddling on the couch, Sarah got serious. "Jake," she said, her voice weird and tentative, "I think I need to take a break." My heart sank. In my experience, when someone says they need a break, it's never good. I asked her to explain, trying to keep my voice calm and rational. "I've been feeling like I'm missing something," she continued. "I've been thinking about my ex, Mark. We had a complicated history, and I feel like I need closure. I want to explore those feelings." I was stunned. Mark was her high school boyfriend, the guy she'd had an on and off relationship with before we met. They'd had a messy breakup years ago, with rumors of cheating and drama. I'd heard stories about him from Sarah, and they weren't flattering. What exactly does explore those feelings mean? I asked, my stomach twisting. She wouldn't give me a straight answer. Said she just needed space and time to think. But we both knew what it really meant. She wanted to see if there was still something between her and her ex. In that moment, something inside me broke. 5 years of planning our future, a proposal, wedding preparations, all of it meant nothing compared to her desire to reconnect with an ex-boyfriend. I didn't blow up. I didn't scream or throw things. I just looked at her and said, "I think we're done." Her shocked expression told me she hadn't expected me to call her bluff so quickly. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a story that would change both our lives forever. The week after I ended things with Sarah was a blur. I moved out of our shared apartment, staying with my best friend Mike while I looked for a new place. Our mutual friends were shocked. Everyone had seen us as the couple most likely to make it, the ones who seemed rock solid. Mike was supportive, but also brutally honest. "Dude, she was basically asking for permission to cheat," he told me one night over beers. Wanting a break? To explore feelings for an ex? That's a massive red flag. I knew he was right, but it didn't make the pain any easier. We'd been planning our entire future together. The wedding invitations were already designed, for God's sake. I'd already put a down payment on a venue, bought a ring, started saving for our dream home. What hurt most was how casually she seemed to throw away everything we'd built. 5 years reduced to a convenient break, so she could chase some nostalgic fantasy with her ex. 2 weeks after our breakup, Sarah started texting. At first, it was typical breakup messages. "We need to talk. Can we meet? I think you're overreacting." I ignored most of them. When I did respond, it was brief and to the point. Then the truth started coming out through mutual friends. Apparently, Mark had recently divorced, and Sarah had been messaging him extensively before our breakup. She claimed it was just catching up, but everyone could see the writing on the wall. My sister, who had always been protective of me, did some digging. Turns out, Sarah and Mark had been having long phone calls and text conversations for months. Not quite physical cheating, but definitely an emotional affair. The wedding vendor nightmare was another level of stress. Canceling everything, fighting for refunds, explaining to shocked family members why the wedding was off. Some deposits were non-refundable. I was out several $1,000s, a bitter reminder of how quickly life can change. My company was surprisingly supportive. My boss, who had met Sarah at a few work events, told me to take time off if I needed it. HR was understanding when I needed to handle various logistical breakup complications. The real kicker came a month later. A mutual friend, someone I'd considered neutral in all this, revealed that Sarah and Mark had actually started dating. They'd been seeing each other almost immediately after our breakup. "She told everyone you were the one who ended things," my friend said apologetically. Made it sound like you couldn't handle her need for personal growth. The audacity was mind-blowing. She was spinning the narrative to make herself look like the victim, when she was the one who had effectively cheated. I realized then that ending the engagement wasn't just right, it was necessary. Someone who could so casually discard our shared dreams, who could emotionally check out of a relationship while planning a wedding, was not someone I could build a life with. But knowing that didn't make the healing any easier. 6 months after the breakup, my life looked completely different. I'd moved to a new apartment across town, deliberately choosing a place with no memories of Sarah. Mike helped me redecorate, filling the space with new furniture and artwork that was entirely my own. Therapy helped. I'd started seeing a counselor who specialized in relationship trauma, and slowly, I was rebuilding my sense of self. The first few sessions were tough, processing the betrayal, understanding my worth beyond the relationship, learning to trust again. My career became a source of healing and growth. I threw myself into work, taking on challenging projects and even getting a significant promotion. The team at work became my support system. They knew just enough about the breakup to be supportive without pitying me. Social media was a minefield. I'd blocked Sarah on everything, but mutual friends' posts sometimes revealed glimpses of her new life with Mark. From what I could gather, their relationship was as messy as I'd expected. Mutual friends whispered that they were constantly fighting, with Mark's past infidelities, the reason for his divorce, causing ongoing trust issues. The wedding deposits I'd lost ended up being a blessing in disguise. Instead of mourning the lost money, I used it as a travel fund. I took a solo trip to Japan, something Sarah had never been interested in. I hiked, explored Tokyo, and discovered parts of myself I'd forgotten existed during our relationship. Dating was complicated. I wasn't ready for a serious relationship, but I wasn't avoiding connections either. A few casual dates helped me realize that not all relationships were like what I'd experienced with Sarah. There were genuine, honest people out there. My family was my rock through everything. My sister especially was relentless in her support. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day, she'd tell me. My parents were understanding, never pushing me to talk more than I wanted to, but always making it clear they were there. A year after the breakup, I ran into Sarah unexpectedly at a local coffee shop. She looked different, stressed, less put together. Mark was sitting nearby, and their body language screamed tension. She tried to approach me, but I kept my distance. The closure I needed wasn't a conversation with her, but the life I was building for myself. The most surprising part of my healing journey was discovering how little I actually missed her. The person I missed was the idea of the future we'd planned, not Sarah herself. I realized I'd been in love with a fantasy, not the real person. Today, I'm grateful for the bullet I dodged. Ending the engagement was the best decision I could have made. I learned that my worth isn't determined by a relationship, and that sometimes, walking away is the strongest thing you can do. To anyone going through something similar, trust your gut. You deserve someone who sees your value, who doesn't need breaks to explore other options. Your peace is worth more than any relationship.